What's up? This is Easy Work Box. I'm about to hit you everywhere but under your feet with this one. This is a video for Tony Bellew versus David Haye, the rematch. Now, first I gotta go in. I gotta talk about these guys' wins and losses. Tony Bellew has 29-2, only 1 KO. David Haye has 28-3. Only 2 KOs. And honestly, I'm hoping I'm reading this shit wrong. I can't believe that two boxers that talk as much shit as they both do only has 3 KOs between the both of them. And I didn't think that David Haye's record would be on the 28-3, 31 fights, but I figured he was damn near like 38-3 or 38-2 or something like that. But coming into this fight, I watched the first fight just a minute ago recently, and I just have to say thank God for the UK fans, because they brought more excitement to the fight with their hollering and their yelling than I saw in the fight. This fight right here looked like, to me, like two average Joes who decided to drink a 12-pack of Corona and get in front of a lot of people and box each other. That's what it looked like to me. And I was very surprised by that, because I seen David Haye spar with Deontay Wilder, and he was getting Deontay Wilder's ass, for the little short film that I saw. So I was very surprised to see that, this fight went like that. I couldn't believe that this was a fight that people actually went and paid for. I mean, because of the names and because it was in the UK, I'm sure they have fans over there, and, people over there wanted to go see it. But the fight really didn't do anything until I seen the injury of David Haye. I mean, other than that, they were just throwing, jabs, single punches, like trying to win on points. It wasn't anybody really coming at anybody until the injury occurred. But I'm going to go in and say, pointers about both of the fighters, to break down the fight a little bit and what I'm going to see happen, when this fight happens. I think it's Saturday. But Tony Bellew, to me, he has good ring generalship. He can move around the ring well to be a big guy. He has good foot movement. But as far as defense, neither one of them has good defense to me. Both of them keeps their hands down low. I don't understand who trains them, or why would they let them go into the ring like that? Keeping their left hands down, and Tony Bellew keeps his right hand down low too. But I do give David Haye credit, because he kept his right hand up a little bit, But like I said, Tony Bellew has good movement. The next fight, I feel that David Haye should not give Tony Bellew a chance to even breathe. I feel like he should use that straight jab to the body that he was using, which a lot of people don't understand. He kept throwing that punch to the body to only set Tony Bellew up for the right hand. If you go back and you watch Marcos Maidana versus Adrian Broner, Marcos Maidana kept coming out throwing the jab to the body repeatedly just to set Broner up for that right hand and knocked him down. So I know what David Haye was doing. He was trying to set him up for later rounds to get him to drop that left hand, which it was already low. So I knew if he would have been able to come forward and hit him, he was going to hit him good. But neither one of these guys have knockout power. So I feel like it would just been a points punch. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, both of them, neither one of them has good defense at all. I never seen a punch that really stunned either one of them. Most of the time it was just them standing in front of each other, just pacing, jab, 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 and you know what I'm saying? And that was basically it the entire fight. But David Haye was up on the scorecards before the injury, so I have to say that. One thing you got to give David Haye is the fact that he has heart. Even with the injury, the man didn't give up. You know what I'm saying? I guess that was because Tony Bellew said that he would quit, and I guess he took that to heart, and he was not going to let that happen. The David Haye that I see today right now is basically just fighting for paydays. To me, he didn't even look like he really trained for that fight. And from what he says in press conference, he himself even thought that Tony Bellew was not a match for him. And it kind of shows with the size of him. You know, you used to seeing David Haye in top shape. He looked a little sloppy to me. You know what I'm saying? Like he just really, like he said, underestimated Tony Bellew. And I give Tony Bellew much credit. You know, Tony Bellew said himself, you know, David Haye thought he was coming in. He was just going to run over some little fat, chunky dude. And you know what I'm saying? He said, I admit I'm not a top of the line boxer. I'm not top shelf. You know what I'm saying? So David came in and thought that he was just going to run through me. And it didn't work like that. But at the same time, Tony Bellew, how can you give yourself credit like that when you know you fought an injured fighter? I mean, not in the beginning, but the only time you ever came forward and ever threw your right hand for real is when you seen this man injured. And I like the fact that even during the injury, David Haye stepped up in the fight. David Haye made him come to him, and David Haye came forward throwing haymakers, trying to at least, you know, catch, you know, Tony Bellew, even telling him to come forward towards him. But at the end of the day, this fight really didn't do anything for me. I don't really see why the rematch is even happening. But I will say this, from what I've seen from David Haye from the past, David Haye has skills. He has speed to be a heavyweight, but he didn't show that in the last fight. And I think people are crazy to really think that if David Haye doesn't come in this fight and get injured, to believe that Tony Bellew will win this fight. You know, I always add up the pros and cons of the fighters. You know, I write them down to see, you know, which guy's going to come out, and in my opinion, that's going to do the best. And if David Haye doesn't come out there injured, I don't see Tony Bellew winning this fight at all. And, you know, I think David Haye is really disgusted with himself for even losing to him. You know, as I see the hat on his head, he says revenge. And like he said, losing to Tony Bellew on his legacy is like a bad situation for him. In which I also had to say this, I went on Boxing Rec too, and I looked at both of their opponents, you know, throughout their careers. And I don't know what it is about the overseas fighters or UK fighters, but they fight a lot of fighters with losses. I don't understand that. I think if you go back and you check, I don't know if it was David Hayes or Tony Bellew, one of their guys was the first guy they ever fought had, man, the losses was crazy. I'm like, they really wanted you to win that first fight. Ain't no way in hell. Why would y'all why do people send your fighter in against opponents that you know they're going to win against? You know, that record, you know, keeping that old thing, it's getting out of hand. If I was a trainer, I wouldn't send my fight up against a guy like just undefeated fighters or, you know, the baddest fighters in the list, but I at least would send them up against fighters that will give them a hard time in the ring where they could learn different things. You know, I probably set them up with some fights they could win, you know, for confidence builders, but I wouldn't just put them in the ring all the way up until their 20 or 21st fight against guys that's 21 and 16 or, you know, 40 and 22. You know, like, what the fuck? But I went down both of their records, and I'm thinking, like, well, you know, one of these guys will have some opponents that, you know what I'm saying, that had more wins and losses. You know what I'm saying? I seen, if I ain't mistaken, I think it was David Haye. He had some guys with some, like, 14-0s and things like that. But I'm like, this shit right here is crazy. Like, what's going on in the UK? I mean, like, and I do give the UK credit. They are, you know, doing their thing in boxing right now. They at the point right now that they have never been at. You know, UK boxing has never really been talked about that much in boxing. But right now they on point right now, and they got a lot of fighters up there with big names that's coming out. You know what I'm saying? Well, not coming out. That's been there. That's taking the UK fighting to the next level. But in this fight, I don't see Tony Bellew winning this fight. And that's only because I think that David Haye has had enough time since the injury to come back and fulfill what he wants to fulfill in the ring this fight. And, you know, I thought about this also with the Keith Thurman and Elbert Spence situation. You know, a lot of people saying, you know, wanted to rush Keith Thurman back into the ring and, you know, things like that, you know what I'm saying? But This fight right here will show you if David Haye gets injured again in the ring, why most fighters don't want to just rush back into the ring fighting top competition like that. Because the injury could reoccur in the ring, and then, there's no excuses at the end of the day. Right now, I still don't hear anybody saying the fact that Tony Bellew won this fight is only because the fact that this man was injured. Tony Bellew looked scared to me the entire fight. He was backing up. David Haye was the only person coming forward, like I said, with the jabs to the body. So I don't really see anything that Tony Bellew brings to the table. Like I said, neither one of them has punching power. So this will be a fight on points. A knockout to me would be amazing. I really doubt that would happen. But if it does happen, I will give it to David Haye. Because like I said, my pros and cons all go for David Haye. Even with the injury, when I wrote down for the fight, even with the injury, David Haye had more pros than Tony Bellew's pros until the injury that occurred with David Haye. Then I seen Tony Bellew, attack, come forward. And even then, he was still a little nervous to me because he didn't really come forward. I think David Haye was injured like in the 6th, 7th round. The fight shouldn't have lasted all the way to the 11th round. That fight should have been over with in the 7th, 8th. With the injury of his leg, I mean, come on, y'all. And to the UK fans, I'm not dissing y'all fighters. I'm just being truthful. For some reason, when you be truthful about the boxers nowadays, it's like you saying something about people favorite rap artists, or you saying something about God. I just bring it to you raw and uncut. I'm not going to be biased, and I'm going to say what I feel. It's my opinion. It's only my opinion. In my opinion, this fight shouldn't be a rematch. This Tony Bellew should have just walked away with the victory, because I don't see him being able to do anything with David Haye in his second fight. Also, with these two guys being heavyweights, I don't see them even competing with the top of the line heavyweights right now. Not Joshua, not Big Baby Miller. Hell, I don't see them even doing good against the guys that Dominique Brazil or Duhapis or, Areola or Stavern. I mean, that shit literally looked like two amateurs getting good paydays with a good crowd. I was sitting there looking at the fight, and I had to pay attention to it just to write down the stuff that I was fighting. The stuff that I was writing, I'm sorry. But I don't see neither one of these guys getting a belt from either Anthony Joshua or Deontay Wilder. I see a clear knockout stoppage from either one of them. I think that Tony Bellew has a glass chin, and that's only from what I seen Adonis Stevenson do when he knocked him into the ropes. He he hit that man's ass so hard, it was like, I can't even say what, he hit him so hard, it's like he just gave up on life. That nigga just folded up in the corner like, like shit, I can't take this shit. And so, these guys, both of those guys have moved up from cruiserweight. And, I'm going to give them, a little bit of satisfaction. I'm not satisfaction, I'm trying to find the right word, but I'm going to give them a little bit of credit that they both moved up from, cruiserweight. So, moving up in weight, that takes your power a little bit, gaining on extra weight, you probably can't move as swiftly or move as fast. But I was very surprised that David Haye was fighting like that. The David Haye that I seen sparring Deontay Wilder was quick, accurate, could move around the ring very well. So that's why I say that David Haye looked very sloppy in the ring with this fight. I know he took Tony Bellew for advantage, and I know that Tony Bellew did not take David Haye as a bomb or anything like that, because the whole fight, to me, he seemed scared until the injury. I'm quite sure his corner had to go out there and tell him to jump on him just for him to get the stoppage in the 11th round. Because the entire fight, I never seen him really want to do anything with David Haye. And like I said, David Haye was up on the scorecard. But in his next fight, the rematch, David Haye all the way for me. I doubt it. I really doubt that Tony Bellew can do anything with him, especially with the stuff that David Haye was saying, and him probably watching and seeing that fight. He probably was disgusted with himself, letting a guy like that even beat him. But for me seeing Tony Bellew in the Rocket movie and them putting him in the movie, I never really watched him. I thought that he was like this KO artist, this badass in boxing. And like I said, I'm hoping them boxing record is wrong, because for both of these dudes to have on 3 KOs between them, I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck are they lifting? You know what I'm saying? Are they over there, lifting pillow bags or something? They need to get on some weight training or arm training or something. You know what I'm saying? Y'all supposed to be knocking guys out. Y'all heavyweights. Y'all can come into the big leagues with that shit. With no one knockout and 2 knockouts, and tell me some of y'all fighting for legacy fights and things like that. That's not gonna happen. Y'all ain't gonna be able to do nothing with neither one of them. One of the guys, top of the line guys at heavyweight. Big Baby Miller would beat both of their ass. Easy. I have no doubt on that. Beat both of them. Easy. And I think that's why they having a rematch, just to have somebody else to fight again, so they won't have to call out the other names. We see that a lot. Amir Khan doing that. You know what I'm saying? Amir Khan is especially doing that. But not to diss Amir Khan, because Amir Khan has came to the U.S. and he has a good record, and he ain't fought, a lot of taxi cab drivers, nothing like that. Amir Khan will step up. Not against Kell Brook, though. But he will step up. I don't know what Kell Brook did to his ass in sparring, but he don't want no parts of Kell Brook. But like I said, this is easy work boxing. If y'all gonna bet your money, bet for David Haye. Do not bet for Tony Bellew. You will lose your money. Unless that injury occurs again in the ring, I have David Haye winning that fight 100%. But this is easy work boxing. Thank you for your time. Like, comment, and subscribe. Please subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. I'm at like 400 something subscribers. We're trying to get to 1,000. I need y'all help. If you watch the videos, share it with a friend. Y'all comment. Do whatever it is you need to do. But just subscribe to the videos. I appreciate y'all time. Y'all be safe. Take care of your families. And I'm out.